welcome to the 1979 Coyote Ugly Bronco build. You want to see how we got here? Stay tuned, I'll show you. Today begins the restoration, or should I say the repowering, of this 1979 Ford Bronco that on first inspection appears to be pretty good and it's solid, but the paint and body is not great. But we're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to get it making fire first. I had to rig up this ignition system because the whole entire thing has been untouched in 30 years. So good though. I mean, it's old and will probably stall, but it's good. At least it's not knocking anyway. Oh baby, hold fuel. It could also be running out of gas. Carburetor, that engine will probably run a lot better. Plus, who knows how old any of the parts are. And that's it. So the next thing is going to be get it up in the air and pull the entire front clip off. From right here forward, it's got to come off. We're going to stuff in a 2018 or 2022, somewhere in that range, Gen 3 Coyote and a 10R80 auto plus transfer case. Effectively, underneath here is going to be brand new. We're going to rebuild the suspension, and we're also going to put a replacement interior in it. It'll be roadworthy, it'll be reliable, it'll be powerful, it'll be cool because it'll be Coyote. I think that's what we're going to name this. Coyote Ugly. I know it might sound kind of cliche, but it's going to be Coyote, and underneath and inside, it's ugly. Ew, sludge. It's a bit of sludge in there. I think you're probably dealing with, 40 years. Looks like the original radiator. I know it didn't hold. Just let that do that for a minute. Yeah, nice piece. The rusted off and it's broken in there. It should just fall through, but that's not happening. There you go. Yeah, because there's a metal sleeve in the bushing and the rust, it's fused together. So anyway, these are the body mounts. We're getting new ones later, no worries. This is going to be gone because it's not going back as factory original. It's getting updated with a modern Coyote engine and probably vintage air, which will go underneath the dash. So we don't need all this, and it's in the way of the cylinder heads. So that's gone. This is gone. This is gone. The new ones aren't this big. You don't need that. That's enough for today. I think I need beer, actually, yeah. And now that we got it cleaned off, it looks a little more respectable, albeit very neglected over the years. Other than that intake and carb, I don't know that anybody's ever done anything to this. The wires are a mess. That's just a byproduct of keeping it running in the driveway. But look at that shock. That shock has been leaking for 20 years. The frame's solid. Suspension components are all solid. The tie rod ends, that one in particular, is absolute garbage. The kingpins on both of these steering knuckles, top and bottom, both sides, the axle shafts, all garb, total garb. All that's got to come off. These drag links underneath the pitman arm, all that's got to be replaced. We can keep the sway bars, but next step, get this out. I cleaned it off, started removing a lot of the stuff that I don't need, and I want to get that big box out of there, that AC box. So I'm actually pulling the interior. After 40 some years, this carpet usually comes out pretty easily. And a lot of times these stink really bad. This one, it really doesn't. What do we got here? That's, oh, wow, original 70s heat insulation. We might just keep that. All right. Let's cut a slit in this if possible. This is actually good carpet. Well, it was at one time. It's got the jute padding already bonded to it. which I'm assuming when we get new carpet, it will have the jute already on it, and that's what we're gonna try and duplicate the exact same thing. All right, so let me come over there. Floors are solid. Yeah, good deal. Good truck, man, it really is. Since today is garbage day, I would love to have all of this put out for the garbage. And it looks like we're gonna get that done. Okay. This floor's got some water in it. Well, not actual water, but remnants of it. I mean, we'll clean that off, vac it out, wire wheel it, spray it with some rust encapsulator, and just move right on. Because after the last truck, I really don't want to weld sheet metal together for a couple ever again. Never. Probably easier if I had a lift, but the ceiling's too low, so it is what it is. Keeps you loose. Slow and steady wins the race. Well, not always, but when it comes to taking out a heavy-ass transfer case by yourself, slow and steady. I mean, it's pouring oil on the ground right now, but that's okay. Because I got all this cardboard down, and this transmission jack is from the 70s, just like the truck. And it could stand with a little extra lubrication. Yeah, you know, I don't know what it weighs, but it's a lot. I gotta get it on the ground though, so I can slide it out. thing's in good shape. For as old as it is, it's crazy. I don't want any more oil pouring on the ground though. So, let me, there we go. It's not terrible. All right. Linkage. Still got to do linkage. Yeah. This fuel line, that's still connected. Power steering cooler. I have to take that off and just let it drain into a bucket. Then we got motor mounts, tranny mounts way down there. And I should be able to take it out. One thing I like about doing these engine and chassis swaps, after you've done some vehicles from the 40s all the way until, you know, current day, you notice technological changes that you might not have otherwise noticed. The power steering pumps, for example, by 1979, this is way better than what they had before. And you just see it all over the place, just little changes. You know, the way they hooked the linkage, the way the brake booster was. All these little things add up to mechanical advantage, and it just keeps getting better as time goes on until it turns into cheap garbage glued together, which is what you have today. But in between, there's some cool stuff. Hey, we've got activity. We've got room for activities. That is a heavy motor. That thing is heavy, man. It's probably going to tip, and oil's going to go all over the floor. Tranny fluid. But honestly, I don't care. I'm working by myself, as usual. My buddy who was supposed to come today, you know how that goes. Will it roll to me? I mean, it should. I see a starter in my way. If you think I'm taking that off, you're crazy. I'm done taking stuff off. This is coming out. All of a sudden I became Mr. Miyagi. It'll come out of there. Give me a minute. Sure. I gotta get this big linkage lever off all the way that I couldn't get to while it was in there. And only the real old viewers are gonna know, but this crescent wrench, or adjustable wrench, a crescent style, back in my younger days, we called it a Kresge wrench because these are cheap and they work like crap, and Kresge was Kmart, SS Kresge. So, yeah, there's your top tip of the day. Kresge wrench. Yeehaw! There you go. One used boat anchor. 3,000 bucks. Don't lowball me, bro. I know what I got. It's been a few days since I took this engine and transfer case out and cleaned up the front, got all the grease off of everything. I still need to do a lot of scraping, cleaning. I'm actually going to sandblast under there and put some sort of rock guard, some sort of chip guard on it. But that'll come later because I have to rebuild both axles. All the suspension is getting completely rebuilt. Today's the day that the Coyote F-150 engine, 10R80, 10-speed automatic trans, and transfer case have arrived. So I need to go to the shipping depot down the road and pick it up. It's not that far, maybe 40 minutes each way. And the goal, once I get it back, it's in a big giant crate. I'm gonna try and drag it off with this, but I also might have to use the overhead crane to get it off because we don't have a forklift. Or a lift. Or anything to lift my spirits. We're just gonna keep going. But I wanna get this new engine and trans package and stick it in there and start to mock up the engine mounts because I want this thing to sit in there, and I want it to sit in there in a specific way. And you don't have a lot of room with a straight axle. I've done it several times, but not with a straight axle. So this is gonna be a bit of a challenge. I'm not scared. I know I can make it happen. I've done it with two-wheel drive trucks of this same front clip. And it's like I always say, if one man has done it, another man can do it. You know, these never go the direction you want them to. You push them this way, they go that way. It's just the way it is. One of these days, I bet it exists, but one of these days somebody should make one that does what you want. I suppose if it was a better caster. There we go. So that's out of the way. Oh, jeez. You hear all kinds of stuff knocking and clanging. You know it's all beat. And 1979, you know, time wasn't that long ago, but now, that was a long time ago. This stuff's rocked. Yeah. Pretty much all of it needs to be rebuilt, reconditioned, or replaced. Floor's pretty solid, so let's go get that engine. Through the magic of the internet, the new Coyote engine and transfer case is all sitting on the ground. The boat anchor's sitting on the ground. It's got to be moved, and I need to position this truck so I can swing that lump in and start hacking stuff up because that takes up a lot more space than that. With this Gen 3 Coyote engine and trans, there are a few challenges that you will face when you are trying to stuff it into an F100 or, let's say, an ultra short wheelbase Bronco. A reason you don't see these too much in the Cougars and the original Mustangs, the 65, 66 era Mustangs, is because of the width. The top of these engines are just so wide, it's very difficult to get them into those vehicles. It's not really a problem if you change to a modern front suspension and get rid of those shock towers in those cars. These will fit in there. Of course they fit in your F100s and your F250s. One of the first big challenges that I'm going to face when I mock this engine up into this truck is width and height. Now, in a two-wheel drive truck with, say, a Crown Vic front end, you can get this engine, you can get this pan slammed all the way down, keep your center of gravity low, and that's fine in something that's streetable. But we're building a truck, and we're actually going to put a lift on this when we redo the suspension, but you'll see that in an upcoming episode. A benefit of the four-wheel drive is you don't have to try to tuck this down as far as you can get it. So we can leave it up to clear the axle. Now on this one, it's a straight axle. It isn't just a differential with CV joints. The big deal is getting the exhaust to clear the drive shaft that powers the front axle. That's the trouble I ran into on another truck, and I ended up redoing it 3 times. This one, I already have a picture in my head of how it's gonna go, and we do have plenty of height from this step to the top of this, which you'll end up having a cover and some other doodads attached. So I know this is gonna go. There's a few things that have to get cut out of the way in there, and then I'll brace them up after. One thing for sure is these cats in this exhaust system. It's gotta go. It's just gotta go. It's not gonna fit. None of that is gonna work. It's all in the way. I can't even test fit it with these in here. But I will keep these O2 sensors because the new wiring for this engine uses these. So what I'll end up doing is chopping them off like right here and throwing that off to the side. And we'll talk about wiring later, but for today, I have to hack away at this wood, get this engine hoist to straddle it, lift it up, cut the exhaust off, swing it over, and when I get it here, a couple of the things that I'm keeping, this steering box, and we may get a new one, it depends. There's a lot of slop in this joint right here, and I want this truck to drive like a new truck, so I know that when in the past these Ford gearboxes have a lot of slop in them, and we left it original on the F-250. We're gonna probably replace it on this one if we can get a hold of it. They're very expensive, they're very heavy, but I'll determine that after I put a new rag joint and a new U-joint on this column and see how this really is. Because if this is true to the truck, 50,000 miles, then this box isn't junk. Another thing that I'm gonna do is these are perches, engine mount perches. I hacked this one off so I didn't have to remove the exhaust, save myself a lot of time by just chopping this off because I know I'm not using these. That engine is not going to fit where these go. Another thing is this, what GM calls a Z-bar. I don't know what Ford calls it, a pain in my butt, because this linkage has these hard rubber bushings on them and it's virtually impossible to get them apart without destroying it, which I got them apart, and maybe someone needs that, but I don't care. That's gone. I'm chopping this off. That's gone. This cross member, it does 2 things. It holds the transmission of the old engine, but it also ties the frame together. So for me, I can chop it out, but I'm going to leave room on both sides. We're going to retain this original style suspension, so it's important to leave those pickup points where they are. I'm not going to move those, but I am going to chop it off to get clearance. Then later we will build a tubular cross member and tie that back together, strengthening the frame and the suspension pickup points. Because remember, we're lifting this. That benefit of lifting the truck is going to keep the engine center of gravity pretty high. We've got plenty of room under the hood. And when we raise the suspension, we're effectively lowering the suspension, raising the frame, giving us even more room. So I'll work all that out as we go along. One hope is that I don't have to alter this transmission tunnel to fit that big 10-speed automatic. It's not really the end of the world if I have to alter that trans tunnel, because the interior is getting replaced with reproduction items to make it look nice and clean. And if we had to alter the floor, we can then alter the carpet. If I was trying to keep everything in here, let's say this was already done, altering the floor would be a giant pain, but we're in a good place to make that happen. Step 1. It is actually the first thing you do, but you ever notice on some of those other shows how they have like clearly a Milwaukee Sawzall, but it's all marked off so that you can't tell what it is? Yeah, over here we don't care. It's made by Milwaukee. Milwaukee, hey, sponsor me, huh? I've used this to hack up lots of stuff. So yeah, you can tell from like the decals and stickers and posters around here that there's no sponsor conflict, because it's all just basically me, a couple of friends every now and again, and you know, my nephew who loves to come over and help work on stuff. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get to chopping. Bend my high quality Husky screwdriver. No, I'm not. This thing is pretty big. And in order to make it appear a little smaller and not break any of the plastic connectors, I'm gonna pull all of the wire harness off and all the hoses and the exhaust, trim down this wood so I can pick this thing up without risking any of the components. I'll be keeping this oil cooler, keeping the whole front drive system. The hoses, I alter those. I alter the AC hoses. This would be transmission cooler slash trans heater hoses. So that's cool. All this I'm going to carefully unplug. It's going to take a little while. And when we pick this back up, I'll have this trimmed and ready to lift. With all of the channels that are on YouTube and Motor Trend and all of the cool car content that's out there today, I'm glad you stopped in. If you're new to the channel, thanks for coming over. There's a lot of great stuff happening here, and I really want to share it with everyone because it's so much fun. And you know, it's not your typical overproduced nonsense, and there's a lot of shows that aren't on anymore, and I wish they were. So if nothing else, we'll try to keep doing quality content and cool builds. You know, it's all about the stuff, and ultimately hearing it run and driving it down the road and, you know, seeing it out there, that's reward enough for me. You know, there's a new music policy on YouTube that I was fortunate enough to be a part of the focus group. So what that means is they contact a bunch of people from different channels and they ask you how you feel about music, and it was this couple hour long Zoom meeting with a bunch of people from all over the country, and it was really cool, but I learned a few things. And an interesting point is, you know, if you use like, you know, an AC/DC song or a Van Halen song, they'll mute your track or pull your monetization because you don't have rights to the music. Well, now there's a program where you can use some of the songs and share any royalties you make off the video, which is great. That means Van Halen would earn 11 cents off of one of my videos. But you know what I mean. You can either share your royalties or you can pay for permission to use it for the duration of the video. And I'm not 100% sure how I feel about all of that. I like the fact that they really tried and they asked the creators about the music and how it was going to work. So if you hear a song in any of the future videos and it's a familiar song, I paid for it. Which you ask my friends, I'm so cheap. There's no way I'm paying for music. I'll just keep using the songs that are just as good as. They're not. They're just not. So yeah, I don't need this bracket. I will say from personal experience that if you are buying a used engine offline, number one, make sure you trust who you're getting it from so you don't buy an internally exploded piece of crap. And the next thing is, make sure that whoever removes the engine doesn't just start cutting wires and cutting hoses and throwing things away that they think, well, we're just selling the engine, you don't need that. You do need it. Like this, for example. This is a push-pull cable designed by Ford for this transmission with a bracket. Guess what? Normally you gotta buy all this separate. This piece separate, you know. It all starts to add up. It nickel and dimes you until you're like crazy frustrated with all the little pieces. This particular engine came from a guy we totally trust. It's got super low miles, and he included all kinds of extra stuff. Little hoses, little pieces here and there, just stuff that's gonna make it go so much easier. And that's important. This being a new or newer model engine, we also take these harnesses off because I send them in to a controller, a programmer, and they reprogram the entire thing basically as a standalone to run only the bare minimum you need to operate this engine at peak power. But still some level of economy. So yeah, that's why I unwire them. I send the ECU and both harnesses in and they take care of it. Find out what happens now. I'd say that's close. Not sure which one's going to catch it first, but I put 2 on there. Woohoo! What is happening here? I'm not forward enough. Let's see if we can pick it up. There we go. Alright, forward. Ish. It's forward-ish. Alright, I'm not going to put my hands under any of this because, let's face it, that's not great. Insert one fat guy. Alright. Okay, that's safety. Fine. If this lets go, that'll catch it. Probably. How we do? I didn't know any better. I'd say we were up in the air. Okay. With it just like this, I want to get that exhaust off. So, I get them pipes off, I'll feel a lot better. Okay. Feel a little better about that. Alright, I've clearanced the cross member. I've got these old frame stanchions removed, and I got it blocked so I don't push it through the garage door. And this is a gift that keeps on giving. Power steering fluid every time you touch the truck. But that's alright. Unless I'm changing this right now, I ain't gonna worry about it. Okay. Didn't work. It should fit in there, but I'll cut up. These rarely fit in here the first time you do it. And I don't expect this to be any different. Just like I knew it would, it will indeed fit. There's a couple of things I need to do to make it sit right before I fabricate the mounts. I have to lower the transfer case on the transmission jack, and I need to take part of this metal bracket off over here. I need to trim it a little so I can slide it back, because I want to end up with this about right there. So another 5 inches or so. There's a big plug that sticks out of here and a bunch of stuff happening, so I can't bury it, but I'm going to get it close and leave room to access all the plugs for serviceability later. You want to make sure you can get to the oil filter just fine, any of the coolant hoses. With this truck being lifted and it being a little bit higher center of gravity, I don't have to really modify a lot of the frame pieces. I can get this finagled down in there, which is great. The less you have to modify, the easier it is to work on later on in life. So there's about 1 million things left to do before this engine runs. We've got to make steering modifications, we've got to make linkage, we've got to make motor mounts, tranny mounts, we've got to get the wiring harness ordered, but it's exciting. Next time you see this thing, we're going to fire up this engine, we're going to hear some noise, we're going to hear some big horsepower coming out of it, we're going to have a lot of fun with this truck, so remember to subscribe, stay tuned, thanks, and I'll see you soon.